Right.
Israel's the only place where they had the deal on the table in 1947. Let's split up the country. The Jews were like, okay, we'll do that. We'll take half. Israel was very small the way it was originally drawn up. They said, no, we'll attack you and try to kill you and take it all. They failed. Then they attacked again in 56 and 67 and 73, and they are still attacking. They could have peace so easily. Just stop attacking. Do you really think after all this time, this from the river to the sea, really? You're going to get rid of Israel? They're going to just disappear? What a deluded way to look at the world, even if you believed in it. Like, Israel is not going anywhere. Let's deal with that reality. There's no river to the sea. You're not going to get from the river to the sea. This is the fundamental problem. They don't ever make a deal.
What does that mean, river to the sea?
That's what they chant all the time. It's a way to say Israel is no more, from the river, the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. In other words, we will have all that land, which you never had because, well,
Well, it goes back to the Indian problem. What do you think about our taking Indian land?
Right. Well, the Jews are the Indians of that land. They were there 1,500 years before Muhammad was born.
That's the way the Palestinians feel.
This is factual. Jerusalem was the capital, King David's capital, in 1000 BC. Muhammad is born in 570 AD.
Yes.
Okay. There was a continuous Jewish population, Jerusalem.
Yes.
Okay, it was their
But there were
capital.
Canaanites and Palestinians there.
Well, there were cavemen before that. Sure.
How do you know?
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Zees Political Arrow. And today, I personally would like to take on Bill here from a factual point. We're going to untangle a web of double standards that's stickier than a politician's campaign promises and calling out the historical gymnastics some folks are pulling to justify the ongoing conflict in Israel and Palestine. FYI, this video is about a year old, but its concept and misconceptions has to be called out. Buckle up, it's about to get wild. Let's start with 1947 UN partition plan. According to the script, Israel was all for splitting the land, and the Palestinians just couldn't resist the urge to say, nah, let's go to war instead. But hold up, this version conveniently skips the part where the plan allocated more than half the land to the minority Jewish population, leaving Palestinians wondering, why are we giving up our homes for a plan we didn't even vote for? It's like being told to share your birthday cake with someone who just showed up at the party, and then being labeled aggressive for not smiling while doing it. So I'll break it down even further. Before 1947, Jewish land ownership in Palestine was limited, and the UN partition plan disproportionately allocated land to the proposed Jewish state, aka Israel. 1948, 1 year later, led to the expansion of Israel territory beyond the UN's proposed boundaries, significantly impacting the Palestinian population. Lastly, the war resulted in significant refugee crisis, with many Palestinians losing their homes and land, thus the rise of the State of Israel. And of course, the crisis is still prominent till this day. Next up, the Jews are the Indians of that land analogy. This one's semi-doozy. It paints Jews as the original sole inhabitants, conveniently erasing centuries of Palestinian presence, and Jews living in harmony. It's as if someone walked into your house, planted a flag, and declared, "This has been my home since before you were born," while you were standing holding the keys. A narrative that ignores the people already living there isn't just bad history. It's a land grab with a side of revisionism, colonialism, and imperialism. Now, from a factual point, Prophet Muhammad was not born in Jerusalem. He was born in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. His life and legacy are deeply tied to the Arabian Peninsula, specifically Mecca and Medina, rather than the region of Palestine. This is an important point to clarify, especially when addressing the claims like those made by Bill. Prophet Muhammad was not a prophet from the Banu Israel, meaning he was not a prophet from the descendants of the children of the Israelites. He was an Arabian prophet, which is why a lot of Jews rejected him as a prophet at first. But Prophet Muhammad made it clear, I'm not a prophet for the Banu Israel, the children of Israelites. I'm a prophet for humanity. And he had one goal as a prophet, to convey the message of Islam to not Palestine, but to the world at large, which is what you see today. Not limiting to the Arabian Peninsula. And the Crusades, let's not forget, comparing the Palestinians' struggle to the Crusades is like saying your neighbor's noise complaint is just like a medieval siege. The conflict is deeply political and modern, not a rerun of some ancient religious war. The real twist here is trying to cast Palestinians' resistance as some kind of historical inevitability, rather than a response to the real ongoing oppression. Let's hear what Oliver has to say on Bill.
Well, I'm sure, weren't there cavemen everywhere before they were humans?
I think you're a little discriminating there. What about the
against cavemen?
What about the Crusaders in
What?
1099?
1099.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Why not just charge $11?
What?
No. Yes, I know the taking of Jerusalem.
Yeah, it was slaughtered everything.
Right. That was the Second Crusade? First Crusade. Right. Pope Innocent, is that who proclaimed
I forgot
that?
the name, but
I think it was, because I was
Pope Innocent. That's a great name.
It's such a great name for that. Yes.
But since then, every crusade failed, and this is another crusade. Now, I admit to you that this crusade it's a very complicated story, but the guilt that Germany faces is ironic that Germany ends up attacking the Hamas and saying, yeah, you're driving out, Netanyahu saying, look, 2.5 million people better get out of town now and fast. And it's never been done. The Germans wouldn't have done that in their worst day, in their worst nightmare.
No,
this is why Netanyahu, he's crazy that way. And I spent a lot of time with, Shimon Peres. So I know the other side of the Israeli peace party.
Right.
Although a lot of people distrusted Shimon too.
No, the
Palestinians
could have had their own country a number of times. Most recently, 2000, the Oslo Accords, 97% of the West Bank. Was the deal perfect? No, no deal ever is. But if they had taken that deal and then shown the Israelis that, okay, we can live side by side without importing rockets from Iran and shooting them at you, and we can police our own militants, then maybe we can grow into more like normal neighbors. But Israel is going to have to keep a little eye on you because you do nothing but try to attack them and make them cease to exist. Is that not reasonable?
Yeah, in 2008, Hamas won the election in that West Bank.
Well, they won their first election, and then there was no more elections.
Yeah, because the Israelis didn't want it.
They pulled out.
Hamas was the legitimate political faction in that area. And the Israelis would not accept that. They made Hamas into a terrorist organization.
Well, that's the thing.
Every single point you mention is a counterpoint.
But when people say, like, well, it's just the Islamic world, you're a horrible Islamophobe, Bill, and, No, I'm just talking about what the reality is. The reality is that very often when you give people, Muslim populations in lots of different countries, this has happened, the choice, they will elect. In Egypt, it was the Muslim Brotherhood. In Gaza, it was...
And they were thrown out by a dictator.
By a dictator,
yeah.
Right. Gaza, it was, Hamas. Algeria, it happened. I remember there was, have the people have a say. And then the army has to go, you know what, the people... and we don't want this very Islamic, faith-based government. And they take over and,
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem with the two-state solution.
Well,
because the truth is that it will never work. That two-state solution is bullshit.
But I'm also saying governments are a reflection of the people here as well as there.
The U.S. government too has been backing Israel too much and giving it way too much credibility and saying we're supporting you no matter what. And we're making so many enemies throughout the world. Biden is flying in there like some Superman, and he's going to find out the truth.
So you'll never vote for Biden again?
Never.
Never?
Never.
No matter who runs
again.
Well,
he'll be dead by the time I vote again.
Well, but we wish him well, Oliver. We wish him well. But so even Trump, you'd vote?
I think Biden has got some psychopathic problem with Russia.
Bill's commentary is riddled with double standards, particularly in how he frames the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He criticizes Palestinians for rejecting peace deals while ignoring how these offers often entail significant compromises on their rights and land. Bill also selectively applies historical narratives downplaying Palestinian ties to the land while emphasizing Jewish claims. His critique of Hamas governance fails to consider the broader context of Israeli restrictions and the lack of viable political alternatives for Palestinians. It's like watching someone flip a coin and call it heads every time. Unless it's tails, then the coin must be broken. If you made it this far, I'd like to say thank you and joining me on today's episode on Zees Political Arrow, where we call out the biases and bring clarity to the chaos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and join the conversation as we dissect the narratives that shape our world.